precognition that I had is of a storm winter turned to storm flood. I was on the street and I feel that I was in the Western world. I feel the US or Europe. The US or Europe. There's a part in the Western world that's gonna be frozen, ice frozen. I was on the street and the street was icy, frozen snow, like really thick snow. Oh my goodness. And it was cold weather, like cold, frozen is the only way I can explain it. In fact, if you saw my precognition last year video, it's titled Glass Ice, and that was to do with the deep freeze that happened in the US during the winter time. That's how it was. It was that same type of look atmosphere, just cold, frozen ice, -degree, really cold.
David, the other big concern tonight, especially here in eastern New England, where the winds will be the worst, power outages. And if you need electricity to spark the furnace, that means no light and no heat, potentially for days in what is life-threatening cold.
The timing of when the flood starts or passes through is kind of hard because the weather, like I said, was snowy. So you know the atmosphere of cold winter, snow gray atmosphere, it's kind of hard to pinpoint the day because it's not like the sun really can shine brightly for you to know like, oh yeah, it's this time. But I would say either early morning, like really, really early in the morning, or afternoon, late evening. Now I'm going towards more of the early morning, but it's kind of hard again to pinpoint the time, only because I didn't see people around. So I felt people were indoors, so either they'll be warned, hopefully they'll be warned.
Most of those governors sending dire warnings.
Extreme snowfall, hurricane force winds.
It should not be taken lightly.
Travel ban for the entire state.
Please remain home and remain off the roads.
Thousands of state workers told to stay home. Schools canceled. State officials shutting down roads tonight for everyone except emergency vehicles. Salt trucks along the East Coast out in full force. The storm expected to dump up to 30 inches in some areas with winds gusting to 75 miles per hour.
Either people are going to be warned or they're going to be sleeping because it's early in the morning.
This water, it is flooding down into these neighborhoods behind me. It's coming up over this seawall, and this is why so many people woke up this morning with feet of water flooding their basements and pouring down into the streets. This is a situation that became incredibly difficult and dangerous out here this morning. People who live in this community, who are used to seeing flooding, who are used to seeing high tides breach this seawall, say that what they saw this morning when that high tide rolled in was more dramatic than something that they have seen in all of their time here. Power lines are a tremendous concern. Power has been shut down to a number of neighborhoods in Scituate. We have seen police out. We've seen the National Guard out here. They evacuated people this morning, and they have been back out here again doing evacuations for people who want to get out of these areas that are most prone to flooding. I want to give you one more look at this. This is probably the closest we'll be able to get to this seawall for some time. These waves only picking up steam, the wind only picking up here, and this water just rushing into these neighborhoods, Jake.
It's going to happen. It's going to happen. I don't know when, but it's going to be the cold weather. Deep freeze is the only way I can describe it. And after the cold, while it's cold with the snow and everything, a flood is going to come by. Now this is a lot of water. It's not like as if it's like rain and then flood. It seems like I didn't even feel it raining and the flood came. The flood just came pouring through.
This is exactly the moment that people here in Scituate have been bracing for. Here it is, this water coming up right over the seawall right now. We're still about a half an hour away from high tide, but this is the kind of flood water. These are the wind forces that we've been talking about. This is the storm surge that has created tremendous problems for people out here in Scituate.
Strong winds have caused flooding all along the Atlantic coast from southern New Jersey all the way up to Maine.
Had major flooding. A few people had to be evacuated. We talked with one woman who had about 4 to 5 feet of water in her house, 6 feet of water in her basement.
So either a storm, I don't know how to describe that, if that's even possible, but I would say storm flood, only because it was moving along, flooding the streets and basically flooding even the ice and snow around.
Scituate not only got hit with 2.5 feet of snow in last night and today's blizzard, they also got flooded by a huge storm surge from the Atlantic Ocean. The National Guard was called in to rescue people in Scituate today. There were evacuations and some very real damage in Hull.
This storm brought heavy snow, hurricane-force winds and coastal flooding wreaking havoc across a huge swath of the region, with record-setting snowfall in some parts of Massachusetts, Connecticut, Maine, Massachusetts, New Hampshire, Rhode Island and parts of New York were hit by the fierce storm throughout Tuesday, which wrecked homes, cut power and blasted more than 30 inches of snow. The worst hit state was Massachusetts, where 36 inches of snow was recorded in Lunenburg, according to the Weather Channel, while elsewhere blasts of wind topped 75 mph. In Boston, Juno dumped 26 inches on many streets, with 30 mph overnight winds.
New York and New Jersey missed the worst of the storm, though Long Island remains buried in snow. Massachusetts has already been hit with as much as 32 inches of snow in some places. The eastern part of the state could see another 10 inches by Wednesday morning. New Hampshire was hit with more than 20 inches.